Everybody's Easter was good, including the Timberwolves. Again, this game went back and forth. They had a small lead, Reggie, but you could feel the window of margin and error was just airtight, back and forth, all the way into the fourth quarter. They go into the fourth. Finally, a little bit of more breathing room and holding on in the end. They win 130-117. They steal that first game. You start to break down the box score. Anthony Edwards, superstar in the making, 36 points leading the way. Karl-Anthony Towns, we talked a lot about, and we'll get into it. How is Karl-Anthony Towns going to bounce back from that brutal play-in game against the Clippers and Tyronn Lue's blueprint, how to stop him? He puts up 29, 13 boards, D'Lo, 9 assists. I thought maybe the biggest edge, I'm interested to hear what you say later on, was the bench. 23 from Malik Beasley. Josh McDaniels puts up 15 and 7 boards, 4 of them offensive rebounds, by the way. Total team effort, Reggie, top to bottom. Wolves steal game 1, who, again, Grizzlies going in, we mentioned this, 19 of their last 22 at home. They were on fire at home. Okay, Reggie, I got you all teed up. Break it down for us. What'd you see from the Wolves game 1 win, and just maybe what you thought some of the biggest keys to victory were?
It's interesting. I was talking to one of my best friends, and, he picked the Grizzlies to win in 6. And I think, no, actually, he picked the Grizzlies to win in like a gentleman's sweep. And I was just like, dang, that's how we doing it? But, what was interesting is there's something to be said. And my friend even mentioned this after game 1. He was just like, man, I think I underestimated them. But there's something to be said about momentum, especially in the playoffs. And it's interesting because, it didn't work out well for the Pelicans yesterday. But there's something to be said about, getting a jump start to your postseason. And, like I said, didn't really do anything with the Suns. They came out and just still dominated like they should have yesterday. But Memphis has kind of been sitting on ice for a little bit.
Yeah,
the Timberwolves were feeling it, fresh off that postseason win, the play-in win, and they carried that momentum, that confidence into this next game. Cat obviously had some confidence that he wasn't going to repeat that performance from the last time. He just flushed it. He seemed to be in a really good headspace. He came into the game really sassy, like
he did,
like almost like a y'all got me messed up type of attitude that he had on Saturday, and I was here for it. Like I loved it. Like I love it. More of that, Cat. Like I need that injected into my veins. And I think what was interesting is it was just like, look, man, these Timberwolves, like in games past, in years past. Even maybe earlier this season, they allow a team to just hang close like that, eventually tie, kind of take the lead type situation. Getting into these like slugfests with these teams usually don't really spell well for the Timberwolves and their success rate of winning those games.
No doubt.
What was interesting was they took some of Memphis's best punches on Saturday and they punched them back, like before, ultimately delivering like these Superman punches in the fourth quarter. And that was very encouraging to see. It was just one game, and you don't want to just go quick overreaction and say like, oh man, it's gonna be a sweep. Like, no, I think I saw enough of this game to see that, like, man, like this is gonna be a slugfest. It may go 7.
Yeah, no doubt. I think what I was really intrigued about, just stemming out that, Reggie, was that it's not the talent on the roster. That's not the question. We knew both these small market teams were going to put on a show for the rest of the country to watch these televised games. But it was the inexperience, because once you get in the playoffs, it's a whole different atmosphere. And with this inexperienced young roster, I just wasn't sure what team was going to show up. So Anthony Edwards, playoff debut, 36 points, 6 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. I mean, we talked about it weeks leading up to this game. This man just has that ice in his veins. It doesn't seem to matter how bright the lights have gotten for Anthony Edwards when he's had to put the team on his back. He just continues to stay this cool and calm demeanor I've just been so impressed with for just such a young player in the NBA. What'd you think about Anthony Edwards' playoff debut?
I loved it. I thought it was great, man. Like, it's so interesting because Anthony Edwards is such a guy that doesn't take himself too seriously.
Right.
He's such a goofball. He's got the flip phone, like just total goofball, like just just a crazy, exciting, interesting personality, right? But when he's out there on the court, he's all business. And I think what's interesting too is you can be all business and all about fun as well. And I think what was interesting about seeing Anthony Edwards in back-to-back postseason games, the play-in and now this game, is the dude just locks in, and he just has like no sense of like the gravity of the moment. Like he's just playing his game. And when the lights are bright, that's when you can tell the stars from the pretenders. And it's just so interesting, man, because like he hasn't been at this level before. He hasn't been on this type of a stage before. And it was funny, like him talking after the game. He was just like, this was cool.
Yeah.
This was cool.
Let's do this again.
Yeah, he's like,
this
is cool. I like
Let's
this.
get together.
It's just like, dude, like, are you like, do you understand like or grasp
Where
like,
are
what
you
have just done? Like, dude, you are killing it right now. Like,
Oh,
and
man.
it just doesn't seem to like really even register with him. And I think that's the coolest part about that. But dropping shots and driving to the basket and playing hard on defense, like the dude is what you need for a series like this.
Well, I think that's it right there, right? Because Karl-Anthony Towns, those are the questions, not about the talent, but again, keeping that cool, calm demeanor, that level head. Patrick Beverley brings a lot of high energy, which is great, but sometimes can get a little messy. So having this cool, calm demeanor again with Anthony Edwards, I think is just shown a great balance for the rest of this roster. I want to ask you about Ja Morant because it's not often I sit down and just watch from game to game, start to finish, a guy this talented and this good.
Gosh.
We talked about all week last week. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. They contained him, 32 points, 8 assists. He dished it out. Dylan Brooks had 24, Desmond Bain 17. But just overall thoughts, how you think they kind of went out to attack that game plan as far as how they're going to defend Ja Morant.
What was interesting is it was exactly like we said, him trying to attack the basket, which he did like quite successfully on Saturday. But, it's funny, like it's still when you have the Wolves playing as well-rounded as they played, it really didn't like matter that much. And there were times where, Ja would try to maybe bring the team back into it by maybe shooting a jumper or shooting a three. And it's just like, that's not a consistent part of his game. And it's funny when you get Ja into those type of situations, I do think that is advantage Timberwolves. But look, the dude is amazing, man. He's
unbelievable.
He's like peak Derrick Rose meets,
I like that.
Meets
I
peak,
like that.
Russell Westbrook. Like the dude is just like, it's incredible to see like how just explosive the guy is and just how he attacks the rim. I think we are really being treated right now. This might be one of the best series of the first round of the playoffs, just in general, just because of the talent that's there, the young, like hungry demeanor of all these guys. Like, Memphis has always been known as that grit and grind team. And the Timberwolves are starting to kind of develop that persona as well. And it's just so funny seeing the two of them just like go at it and punch each other in the mouth and just keep going at it. It's like watching one of those like old like Morales Pacquiao fights where they're just like beating on each other for 12 rounds. And it's just like, dude, like you would think that one of these guys would hit the mat by now, but it's just like they're just beating on each other.
Slugfest.
And it's amazing, man. Like I'm enjoying it thoroughly, and I'm excited for Tuesday to see what Ja does as an encore.
You said it's a treat. We're definitely being spoiled. Again, two kind of small market teams. I think the rest of the country now is able to really sit down and watch how talented and what the future of the NBA may look like for the next few years with both these star-studded rosters. I want to preview game 2 here real quick before we get Sam Ekstrom on, but real quick, hot seat, and you're drafting a team tomorrow. Who you picking?
Lord.
Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant? Who's the pick?
don't do me like this.
Who's the okay, I'll tell you what. Going in, I thought it's John Morant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No disrespect against T. It has to be John Morant. The guy is just the way he creates the entire offense and game. It's just too much for me. It's just too much. But I think I'm starting to lean Anthony Edwards, man. I don't know. Flip a coin.
All right. So, and I'm not even being biased because we're in Minnesota. But
Of course. Unbiased.
I think I would take Anthony Edwards.
I think you have to.
Because look, he has the explosiveness that John Morant has, like to where, he come down and just like obliterate the rim, like he has that a part of his game. But, Anthony is also improving as a shooter as well. Like if you need him to get you a bucket, a lot of these like step back jumpers that he's nailing. I mean, I want that. I'm a person that is very like enthralled by shooters, like shooters shoot. And the guy, it's so funny. Like all these people like, talk about how good of an actual like basketball player, people like Ben Simmons, Draymond Green. And it's like, look, I can appreciate those guys' game, but like for me, like give me a Steph Curry, give me a a Damian Lillard, give me a Cat, like anytime they could just step out and just like, yoke a three, you know what I mean? Like I love that. Joel Embiid, I mean, I can watch Kevin Durant play like 7 days a week. Like the dude is like, he's amazing. I think Anthony Edwards is going to continue to grow in that regard to where, even if it's just like a mid-range, like he's going to develop that jumper and really just kind of be like that dog, man, like that all-around guy that can give it to you where he's attacking the basket, but also, step out, like don't leave him open either because he's going to drain that shot on you as well. I think that part of his game is growing. And for me, a person who values shooting, I think I'll take Ant over Ja, but it's almost a toss-up, man. It's like you say, you kind of flip a coin and just take a guy and let him lead you.
Right. Depends what day of the week, man. Depends what side of the bed you wake up. But I mean, we're splitting hairs. But again, I went Ja going into this game, and not that one game shouldn't change my mind that much, but I'm just starting to lean. I'm with you. I'm starting to lean a little bit more Anthony Edwards when it comes to that tough decision. Just previewing Tuesday, game 2, 7:30 tip-off tomorrow. Rest assured, we'll be here Wednesday to break down all the action. Let me ask you this, because you know more about the NBA. I'm such a football, NFL, X's and O's guys. How do you expect both teams to respond after game 1, after seeing what you're seeing? I mean, from a strategy standpoint in basketball and in NBA specifically, does the strategy change that much in a 7-game series from one game to the next? Or is it pretty much, hey, good job, let's try to clean up this, and this, free throws, turnovers, things like that, and let's just go play our brand of basketball?
Yeah, I think it's mostly that. What's interesting is I guess I would say that maybe we might see a little bit more defense. Like I'm looking at some of these stats, like 130 to 117 is a very high scoring NBA game. And it's just interesting because like the Wolves were able to get some great production off the bench, specifically Malik Beasley and Jaden McDaniels. And it's like, look, I don't know. Maybe it's fool's gold to think that you can count on those guys to have those type of performances every game. But it's just like maybe it could be a coming out party situation for the Wolves bench, because I think coming into that game or coming into this series, I think a lot of like experts probably picked the Grizzlies as far as like having the better bench. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But like when the Wolves come out and do that, you got some contributions from Naz Reid, Taurean Prince, you got Malik Beasley, Jaden McDaniels. Like when you got guys like that coming off the bench giving you that type of production, like watch out, man, because like that starting 5 is going to give you what you need. You know what I mean? Like they've shown that, like, look, even if one of us has a bad game, there are going to be 2 more of us that will pick up the slack. And that's encouraging, going into game 2. What I think is going to be interesting is to see if this bench has the same level of production. Because if they do, then I see it being very hard to beat this Timberwolves team. Like I said, they were kind of like hanging around with Memphis in that fourth quarter, and then they were just like, you know what, we're just going to take this over and dominate down the stretch. And that was really cool to see. I just want to see if that is sustainable.
Playoffs, NBA, a little bit more low scoring, tighter defense. But again, we're talking about the number 1 and number 2 in points per game offenses in the entire league. Timberwolves number 1 at 115.9. Grizzlies scored an average of 115.6. So neck and neck. Remember, 7 and 8 seeds are a combined 0-36 in the playoffs, by the way, since 2013. So we'll see if the Wolves can keep the magic alive in Memphis tomorrow night. Tuesday, tip-off, 7:30 Central Standard Time. Rest assured, again, myself and Reggie will be here Wednesday to break down all the action.